Hello. My name is Cynthia, and I am part of the transition team, and Audrey and I are here with you today for the second of 9 Finding Our Way Together services. I have some announcements. Regarding these services, please remember they are likely to take up to an hour and a half so that we can have some time to really spend together. And we think it's worth it. And we hope you do. Please contact Tracy Turner if you would like to participate in a holiday gift drive for foster children. The next governing board meeting is on November 19th in the Claire Barton Room at 12:30 p.m. All are welcome to attend. The next care days are November 15th, 16th, and 17th. Is that correct? Thank you. See Donna if you have questions. And am I to understand you're painting on those days? Half an hour painting the red front doors. Yep. Mother Nature's gonna cooperate. And community meals, I saw was in here as well. The community meals program is gearing up to offer in-person meals again at Trinity Church. And we are looking for volunteers to help prepare meals and or set up, serve, cleanup. And the time commitment is from 4:30 to 7 p.m. Please contact Alicia Cordair. Her email is in the perspective. And for those of you who are interested, Andrew gives us a color of the week every week that is posted in the perspective. Today's color is gray. Thank you. Gray/black. So black or black plus a little white. And then one more reminder from the search committee, who is made up of Audrey Cracky Lambert and Cindy Leno. A survey went out. The deadline was yesterday for completing that survey. If you haven't filled it out yet, please sneak it in before they gather together by the end of the week to take a look at those results. If you have any questions at all about the search process, please see Audrey or Cindy, the other Cindy. All right. Hold on. Well, let me do the welcome. Welcome to First Parish Unitarian Universalist of Northborough. We Unitarian Universalists are a non-creedal, religiously liberal faith tradition. We hold in our worship and in our faith formation that each individual and each community will explore a wide and varied set of beliefs and ideas that encourage us to live life as a spiritual journey, deepening our connections to compassion, justice, and an understanding of eternal truths. Our interim minister is Reverend Abigail Stockman. If you have any questions about Unitarian Universalism or First Parish Church, please don't hesitate to reach out to her. We are a community in multiple locations, so let's take a moment to greet one another by waving to those online and those around you until the chime is rung. We ring our chime to call us into this sacred time of worship, followed by a musical prelude.
As we enter the journey together, may it be with a deep reverence for our own spiritual journeys. Gift us with the awareness of the sacredness of our day-to-day lives, to embrace and own the lessons we receive, and to strengthen the bonds we manage to create between ourselves and the divine. Our opening hymn is number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We will now have a reading by Renee, and it's from a book by Brene Brown called Atlas of the Heart.
Our connection with others can only be as deep as our connection with ourselves. If I don't know and understand who I am and what I need, want, and believe, I can't share myself with you. I need to be connected to myself in my own body and learning what makes me work. This is how I start to develop the grounded confidence I need to move through the world and cultivate meaningful connection with others. Before, I didn't give enough importance to spending time and energy connecting to myself. I made that optional if I had anything left over after connecting with others. It wasn't working, and now I know why. In this life, we will know and bear witness to incredible sorrow and anguish. We will experience breathless love and joy. There will be boring days and exciting moments, low-grade disappointment and seething anger, wonder and confusion. The wild and ever-changing nature of emotions and experience leaves our hearts stretch-marked and strong, worn and willing. My hope is that we find that solid ground within us, that shore that offers safe harbor when we're feeling untethered and adrift. The more confident we are about being able to navigate to that place, the more daring our adventures, and the more connected we are to ourselves and each other.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Now is the time for our offertory. Our half plate for the month of October goes to Northborough Community Meals. Thank you. At our October, can you hear me? Yes. At our October 29th service, all those participating in the meeting house and on Zoom were invited to engage in a 7-minute free write in their journals responding to this prompt. In order to speak my truth with others, I need. We then gave everyone an opportunity to review what they had written and share on Post-it notes or in the Zoom chat those ideas, thoughts, and feelings that resonated most with them. Audrey and I gathered all of the Post-it notes that were shared and spent time reading and reflecting on them. Inserted in your order of service today is the complete list, double-sided, of every Post-it note comment that was shared, organized by themes that emerged as Audrey and I reflected on your words. So all of the bulleted points are what folks wrote on Post-its or put into the Zoom chat. You may have taken the opportunity already to look through what was written. And I believe Dennis shared a link in the Zoom chat for folks who are joining us on Zoom today. So you can click that document and open it. So you may have already taken a peek at this. And maybe you agree with the themes that emerged for us, and maybe you would have organized them a little bit differently. That's okay. There's room for that. What really stood out to us is the authenticity of all that was shared that day. So what Audrey and I worked on next was a document that weaves together the spirit of these collective contributions. The needs we all expressed are necessary for us to be able to speak our truths. We are going to present this to all of you now. We will share copies and read it aloud together. So we'll come around and pass out copies. And Dennis, you can put that second link in the chat for people on Zoom. Remember, as this comes around, well, actually, we'll pass it around and then I'll say that little. This document was born from the deep and honest sharing of all those present in the service on October 29th, and it will serve as the agreement that will guide us all in our small group sharing today and for the remaining 7 services. Once everyone has a copy, we are going to, I'll take that, thank you. Audrey's going to read it aloud, and you can follow along.
Everyone deserves to be seen and supported. We seek to know and be known by others and aspire to hold all individuals in high regard and treat each other with respect. We collectively define respect as endeavoring with care, love, and intentionality to hold up the expressed needs of all who are participating in these Finding Our Way Together worship services, and to create an environment where everyone feels safe. All sharing that happens here will be held in strict confidence within the boundaries of this sacred space. This shared promise invites us into an awareness that vulnerability can be strength, that we can find courage to face our fears of abandonment criticism, and betrayal to risk exploring ideas, beliefs, and truths with faith that others will not judge us or define our worth based on the ideas we share. We also strive to hold ourselves and one another accountable to behaviors that support this agreement, understanding that gentle reminders and forgiveness of ourselves and each other are essential components of our time spent together in this sacred space. We will remain open with humility and grace to the moments when someone else shares with us that our words or actions may have breached our sacred agreement and caused potential harm, however unattended. We understand this kind of accountability requires courage and honesty. Even though it can feel hard, it is important because it calls us back into community with each other and helps us to heal and grow. By entering this sacred time of sharing together, we agree to honor each other's expressed needs and be present to each other. In order to create a safe environment for sharing, we need space and time to explore our own emotions and ideas and to reflect on the sharings of others with an understanding that the space between words also holds meaning. Intentionally quiet time can help us center ourselves in the present moment. Active listening to hear one another fully and without judgment, and to accept what is said without interruption, comment, debate, or unsolicited response, both when we agree with what we shared and when we do not agree. Courage to risk sharing what may feel awkward or hard, and trust in ourselves and in each other that what we are inspired or moved to say is worth saying and will make a difference when it is shared. Understanding that different truths can coexist, and even our own deepest truths can change over time. Ideas we once thought to be true can evolve and grow. Acceptance of the diverse ways individuals show up in our shared space. We will both support each other as we are and celebrate who we become. Empathy, caring, and kindness. Knowing that others' empathy can give us confidence to speak our truths. Bearing witness to one another is powerful. Commitment to each other, personal sharing is sacred and private, so we will keep what is shared here in confidence, even with our closest friends and family. Once we cross the threshold of this shared time and place. We are now going to give you all a few moments to respond to what you have heard. We are going to engage you in another free write, this time for 5 minutes. We will set a timer for 5 minutes, and we'll ask you all to respond in your journal or on your paper to a prompt. Once you put pen to paper, do not stop writing. Do not edit, correct your grammar, be concerned about the flow of thought. That's why it's called free. Just let it come out, let it flow. And this is very important. There are no right or wrong ideas. Allow yourself to be open to what comes up for you and let it flow out of your pen, even if in the moment it seems to make absolutely no sense. So this is the prompt that you will do the free write from.
Audrey, before you do the prompt, does everyone have a pen?
People need pens? Raise your hand if you need a pen. Okay, the prompt is, when I hear these words, my response is. When I hear these words, my response is. Time's up. We would now like to take about 3 to 4 minutes and have you turn and talk to those sitting next to you, in front of you, behind you, people that are kind of alone, maybe you can kind of group together, and share any ideas you wish to share from your writing. It is fine if you have nothing to share, but we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to give voice to their reflections if you would like. So if you can kind of just get into people close to you, that would be great. And we have about 3 to 4 minutes to do this.
Thank you, Audrey. In a few minutes, we will break up into several small groups. I think we're going to do 4 today based on folks who are here. And just a heads up we had many facilitators scheduled for today. We're going to use 4. So Celia, Karen, Donna Massey, and Corey for today. And then the rest of the facilitators will be participants in those groups. So we have recruited
And Alan
facilitators.
facilitating online.
Sorry, and Alan facilitating on Zoom. My apologies. Once the groups are gathered, the facilitators will lead the reading of the agreement we just shared with you. You will read the bullet points together again once you're in your small groups. The facilitator will guide you on how to move forward with that. These are the words that will guide how we engage with and support each other in our small groups. The facilitator will keep track of time. They will share with you a nonverbal cue they plan to use if your turn sharing goes a little bit long and you need to wrap up. We will be using talking sticks to guide our sharing time. So these talking sticks came from our farm. They're birch sticks. And according to Indigenous Corporate Training Incorporated, the talking stick used in many Indigenous cultures is an ancient and powerful communication tool that ensures a code of respect during meetings as followed. The person holding the stick, and only that person, is designated as having the right to speak, and all others must listen quietly and respectfully. According to Indigenous Corporate Training, birch symbolizes truth. At coffee hour, we invite anyone who would like to help adorn a talking stick that we'll use during this worship series. We have a table set up with paints and feathers and beads for this purpose. Audrey is going to explain how we will be using the talking sticks in our Finding Our Way Together services.
Each person has a time with the talking stick. And as we said, only the person with the stick may speak. The facilitator will go first today, and then after sharing briefly, will pass the stick to the person on the left. And just briefly, the whole concept of the talking stick is really a very beautiful thing in a way, because what it's doing is acknowledging that the person who's speaking really deserves to be listened to, not in a way that you want to make a response back, but to really listen and hear their story and what they're saying, and to honor that and reverence that. And that's a really nice thing to do for each other. And that's the whole point of the stick. It's a tradition that has just a wonderful intention behind it. When handed the stick, please introduce yourself, even though you know each other, just to share your name. and share briefly. An emphasis is on the word briefly. And as we mentioned, the facilitator will have a cue that says, you need to kind of be drawing to a conclusion. Whatever that may be, it could be or whatever, but it's not, it's their way of letting you know to wrap up. If you're not ready to share, or if you choose not to share, you're welcome to pass the stick onto the person to your left. That's how the stick always goes. When you are done sharing, please pass the talking stick, again, to the person on your left. It's the clockwise direction. And then everyone will say thank you to each person who's done the sharing, because I think that's also a nice gesture too. When you're not sharing, your job is to actively listen to the speaker. You're not to respond or ask any questions during the sharing time. The purpose is to connect with each other and to remain open to the ideas that are being shared. And it's a beautiful opportunity to learn about each other, perhaps things we've never known before, and that's a good thing. We are not trying to come to a consensus or to solve any problems. The whole purpose is to hear and to be heard, which is the need we all have. Once the talking stick gets back around to the facilitator, they will begin the response time. And these are the rules for the response time. The talking stick always goes through the facilitator during the response time. If you would like the talking stick, raise your hand, and the facilitator will pass the stick to you. When you are done, you will hand the stick back to the facilitator, and they will then hand the talking stick to the next person who would like to respond. Response time can be used in a number of ways. To ask a clarifying question, elevate an idea, share what resonated perhaps that somebody said that resonates with you, affirm or appreciate another person, and say that, I appreciate what you have said. It touched me. It meant something to me. Notice something that came up for you or share any surprises. It's really a time to affirm each other in what people have shared. If you are responding to what someone has shared, briefly state what was said that struck you, and remember, this is not a time for additional personal sharing. This is not a time for arguing, debate, which we love to do, or expressing disagreement. Rather, it's a time to notice and hold up diversity.
We asked you to reflect on 3 categories of questions in preparation for today. They were given out. They were put into the midweek and Friday perspectives. If anybody did not get these, and we should have asked also, I think everyone was here, but we do have additional journals at the back of the church and question sheets if you were not here. And those questions were in 3 categories: the first step, down the road of doubt, and your first spiritual experience. So underneath each of those categories were a few questions for thought. Who was most responsible for your first understanding of religion? What was unique about the first religious community that shaped you? How do you feel about that community today? And then under down the road of doubt, when did a crack in your faith first appear, if it has? Was it a moment of intellectual questioning or emotional disappointment? And then under your first spiritual experience, what was the nature of your first spiritual experience? how does it still shape you today? When did your spirituality move from ideas rooted in your head to faith rooted in an experience? These are way more questions than we will all have time to share today in the few minutes that we have. And maybe some of those questions you couldn't answer because they weren't applicable to you. So, for multiple reasons, each of you will need to decide and choose what you feel is most important to share today in our small groups. The idea is to share what resonated with you from the questions that were asked. Before we break into groups, we're going to take about 5 minutes so you all can read over what you wrote. If you did not yet have a chance to reflect on the questions, this is a time you can take to do that now. For those of you who went right home October 29th and answered all of the questions in great detail and now have forgotten what you wrote, it is a chance for you to revisit that. And think about what it is that you would like to share when you come together in your small group. If you're just joining us today and have not yet had an opportunity, you may use this quiet time to gather your thoughts around the topics presented in the questions. When I'm going to ring our bell bowl to start our meditation time on these questions, and then when I ring it again, we will tell you how we're going to break up into groups. If you need questions, I have some of them.
It is now time for us to break into small groups, and we'll ask the facilitators to go to their areas. So I think, Donna, if you could go by the handicap pew areas. Celia, if you could go over here to the left. Corey, if you could go out into the entranceway. And Karen, if you use the robing room. So we're going to be 4 groups, and we're going to start on the side here. People would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all the ones will go, well, just let's do that. So Joanna, if you could start. You're number 1. Joe. 3, 4. Wait a minute. Jean, are you 1? Lee, you 2? Rick, 3. Rita, 4. We start in the front here, Elise. 2. 3. So if all the ones would go over with Donna Massey. If all the 2s would go with Cecilia over in the corner. And there's chairs in the area for you to open up. Yeah. Number 3s would go with Corey in the entranceway. Number 4 go with Karen in the dressing room. Whatever. Yeah. It's now time for joys and sorrows. The sharing of personal joys and sorrows is a ritual of connection observed in some of our faith communities. It is a time to witness one another's sharing as acts of worship to those special moments of joy or sorrow in our living. We do this in faith that a joy shared increases joy in the world, and a sorrow or burden shared lightens the load, knowing that others are holding us in love during our challenging moments. For today's joys and sorrows, we would like to witness to each other in our prayers and intentions in silence, as we did the first on October 29th. So we're going to ask if each person process up, and the stone or stones that they put in could be a personal intention, but also something about perhaps what you learned in your small groups that you want to give thanks for, or something that perhaps reminded you of something maybe that you need to let go of, whatever. But we would ask, Olga will be playing some music, that each person drop a stone. And for those in Zoom, I'm going to ask Corey, I think, as she replaced Chris, to kind of drop a stone for the people that are on Zoom. Just kind of count the numbers and put in a stone for them as well. Okay, start now. Start to process up. It's everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Before the closing hymn, we have the next set of questions to give out for you to reflect on between now and our December 10th service. We won't read through them together. We can email them out to people who are on Zoom, and they will go out again in the midweek and Friday perspective. But today you shared about the beginnings of your lives as spiritual beings. And next, we're going to ask you to reflect on your current spirituality and any spiritual practices you might have. So there are some questions that can help guide your thinking around that. And so I will, while you're getting ready, I guess, for the closing hymn, which is 118, we can bring these around. Or should we just have them collect them at the end?
Maybe at the end.
I'll put them out in the foyer, and so then on your way out to coffee hour, you can grab one. So please stand as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
Just be seated. And for the closing benediction, I would like if we could all say that together. It is in the order of service, or you can turn to number 701. But that we in turn bless each other as we go forth. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown.